The question was, I wanted to ask is how to focus and solve problems that seem hard to me when I try to get better at something. I tend to research tons of info and never be able to really apply it because I can't think, my mind blanks in the moment. Any tips on that, or any tips or help would be appreciated. So basically, with this, when I read through this whole thing, the only thing that I could say for you, bro, is just that you're too young. You haven't been put under pressure enough times to know the answer to something. Like whether or not, and also here's the thing, you're too young to be putting this much pressure on yourself. When you have to problem solve or like become a critical thinker, you have not had to develop into the person that can do those things yet. It's the same thing like when I coach players for Smash, where it's like they know all the frame data, they know the matchup, but when it's time to actually play, everything's out the window and they revert back to their instinct, which is their autopilot combos, their autopilot tech options, their autopilot ledge options, and they do the same thing over and over again. And then they say, why did I do this? Why did I just throw this game completely against someone who I know I'm better than and a character that I know how to fight? And the reason why is because they have not been under the lights enough times. That's realistically what it is. If you know all the information and you know all the information, you're very knowledgeable on whatever your topic happens to be. I say this all the time with regards to Smash. Smash is 60-40 or even 70-30 in the respect of knowledge. So 70% of the game, in my opinion, is not knowledge. But you still need the other 30. So even if you have 70% knowledge, you can't be 0% execution. But the only reason that your knowledge is valuable is because you can execute. If you have, like, let's say 100% knowledge, zero execution, then it means nothing. Same thing, if you're 100% execution and zero knowledge, then you're just doing stuff. You're expecting your opponent to like never shield, never tech, air dodge every single time, roll from ledge every single time. Like you're just kind of doing stuff and hoping to get these crazy reads for no real reason because you have no knowledge as to why somebody would do those things. So for yourself, as far as like if you're a smart guy and why can't you figure it out, it's like you can figure it out, but you haven't had to ever figure it out in real time. That's the biggest thing. I can say also with regards to that too is if you're ever going through something when your mind is blanking, this is one of those moments where you have to go back to yourself and try to stay composed. You want to try and stay like that when I was talking about my logo, same thing. You want to try and stay composed for as long as you or as much as you possibly can, so that when you are in a very difficult setting or you have a very hard situation that you're going through or whatever it is, it's you can look at yourself and say, okay, I know it's time to perform right now. Now's not the time to be frantic. Now's not the time to panic. Now's not the time to have my mind blank. And I know this because you can remove yourself from yourself, which sounds weird, but I've talked about it in the past too. Like I said when I started the stream, you are your spirit, and your brain and your body are always going to combat your spirit. If you know that you know stuff and you're very knowledgeable and it's time to act properly or stay composed, your brain is going to panic and your body's going to shut down, and your spirit has to say, fuck both of you. Basically, you guys listen to me, I'm not going to fall in line and listen to you. But like I said, if you're young, because I think you said you were, where was it? I think you said you're like 10th grade, something like that. You're like 15, 16. It's just too young, bro. Like the fact that you're this self-aware already is already huge, because most people your age are flossing and doing Fortnite dances and shit and TikTok dances. So for yourself, the fact that you're aware of this, like I said, it turns into repetition. Like if I'm sure you haven't seen the Karate Kid if you're as young as you are, but the Karate Kid had to paint a fuckload of fences before he could play, or before he could do karate, or paint a house, or clean cars, wax on, wax off. It wasn't like, okay, I get the technique, can we stop? It's like, no, we have to do it 1,000 times. Let's do it 10,000 times. It's like, well, why? I know what to do. It's like, but you don't know what to do, because if someone tries to fight you, this is not automatic. So that's all it was. It was experience. Right? So same thing for you. I'm not saying you have to be 30 to be experienced, but if you know that this is the pocket that you're in right now, to say, I need to get the experience and then build up over time, and eventually I will be composed, or I won't have my mind blank. But I need to know that as I'm going through it right now, I probably will have my mind blank, or I will probably won't stay composed. And that's just part of learning. It's the same thing with getting tournament experience as well. It's the exact same thing. I say it all the time with regards to teaching. When people say, how do I get over tournament nerves? And if you go back to my old videos talking about confidence when competing, I say this all the time. How do I get over tournament nerves is the same thing as saying, how do I be confident in real life? It's the same thing. Going to a tournament and fucking up and being super nervous and shaking and scared and forgetting your combos and dropping the easiest punishes in the world is because you've never been in that spot. When there's no pressure, you're not under the lights, if you're just at home chilling listening to music in the training room, you can fuck up 1,000 times, it doesn't even matter to you, that's when you're totally fine. But as soon as the atmosphere changes and it's like, okay, this is a kind of like real life now all of a sudden, it's like I can't really afford to fuck up because this is legit a real thing that's going on. You're gonna fuck up. You just are, bro. I don't know if you've gotten your driver's license yet, and I'm not saying that you're going to fail your first test when you get your driver's license, but if you do, don't be surprised. I'm not hoping that you do. I'm just saying, if you happen to fail your driver's license test, like when your actual not physical, but the driving part of it, there's a chance that you're going to be tremendously nervous and you might make a right turn without signaling, or you might do a rolling stop at a stop sign, or you might not check a mirror or something like when you're driving because there's someone beside you judging everything. But when you're driving with your parents or you're driving on your own or whatever it is, you do everything perfect. You're possibly even listening to music, having conversation, and you're totally fine. But as soon as that person's here, now everything is different as far as the atmosphere. That's completely different. Oh shit, 10 and 2. So I don't drive, bro. We grip that shit at noon, bro. We don't go 10 and 2. What are you talking about? Like, but that's the thing, is like you have to go, I guess, back to doing things textbook and then passing the course, hopefully, right? If you've already done it, then this is just for the sake of example, but you get what I'm saying. You got your oh yeah, bro. See, I'm actually a prophet. you got your license last week. That's crazy, bro. Also, congrats. That's one of those things, man. Like, the fact that you did it, like, you stayed in the pocket, you stayed composed. Even though it was nerve-wracking, you still did it, right? And here's the thing. I know you'll never actually do this in life, but let's say 5 or 10 years from now, you go back and take that same test, you'll probably do it with your eyes closed, not even trying. It's like, because you've been driving for 5 or 10 years since that day. So it's like, it's whatever. It's like, well, what changed? The experience. Doing it over and over again. Knowing what it feels like. Not being intimidated by the driving instructor. It's like, whatever, right? But the first time, it's like the first time doing anything. I'm trying to think. First time writing a test, I'm sure, like, it doesn't even really matter. I can say first time writing any test, if it's like something that's important to you, you're going to be nervous. But the more prepared you are, that's the only way you can really try and minimize your nerves as much as you can. I can also say too that somebody a long time ago, I think Tweak was in an interview, and they asked Tweak, how do you deal with tournament nerves, or how do you not be nervous? And he said, I'm never not nervous. I've just learned how to play while being nervous. Tournament nerves don't go away. Just like being nervous for certain situations never go away. You can simulate something a million times, but when it's time to do it for the real time, like for real, you're gonna be terrified. The amount of people I've seen at weddings, for example, and they fuck up completely, put the ring on the right hand, forget to say I do, like forget the vows, forget their own fucking name, everything. It's like, but you did it 100 times in the rehearsal and you wrote it out yourself and you know how you feel. You've said your name basically every fucking day, or you know your name since you were born, basically. How are you gonna mess this up? It's so easy. It's like, yeah, but I've never done it with this many people looking at me in this situation with one shot. So it's not the same. So yeah, it's obviously very different. As far as getting over it, it's not that you're going to get over it. It's that you're going to learn how to live with it. Like I said it even for myself. When I do presentations for Medify, for example, I'm not nervous. Are you kidding me? I know everything I'm going to say. I know everything that I've prepared. I'm talking to people that like me already, so I don't have to even prove myself. It couldn't be more of a walk in the park, but I'm nervous anyways. Why? It's like, I actually have no reason to be nervous. And I'll even go another step further. When you're in the spot like that and you are nervous and people see what you're going through, they want you to do well. Not a lot of people out there that are like supporters of you who are also hoping you fail. Like, that doesn't exist. They're either haters or they're supporters. If they're neutral, then they're neutral. But even if they're neutral, they're probably on the side of a supporter. Like I said, this is the direction I want to take the channel for a reason, because there's way more important things in life than fucking active hopping. For example, I know what you're thinking. How is that possible? How is that? Someone canceled this man. How dare you? It's like, nah, bro. I said it. Active hop, not important. What? Jail. If you have nerve issues, you have two options. Let it consistently destroy you and your confidence through self-deprecation, what ifs, etc. Or you have to learn how to channel negative emotions into focus.